Today, the Storm Prediction Center has issued an enhanced risk of severe weather for a potential derecho, while up north, Environment Canada has issued a level 4 out of 4 extreme risk for severe weather. So let me show you what you can expect. So here on the US side, this enhanced risk is mostly wind driven, as there's a 30% Sig 2. So essentially this means that there's a 30% chance of seeing a damaging wind gust within a 25-mile radius, as well as within the Sig 2 area also is saying that there's the potential for a derecho. And there's also, along with that, 15% Sig 1 for hail. So this is essentially saying there's a 15% chance of seeing hail within a 25-mile radius, and that hail could be large, along with there being a very small chance of a tornado. Now here in Canada, this extreme risk is mostly driven by the fact that there will be large potential for large damaging hail that could be up to 9 centimeters in diameter, as well as wind gusts up to 120 kilometers per hour, and a few strong tornadoes are possible. The HRRR shows supercells fire off in Saskatchewan. So these are what we must watch for, because these storms could very much produce a strong tornado because of how strong of an environment will be set up once they actually fire. Then, over in Montana, there is a little Boeing segment, which would most likely be a potential derecho that will form. Or this will bring a destructive wind threat for winds up to 80 miles per hour or higher in some areas as the day goes on. So letting this continue out, you can see that then in Canada it becomes way more of a discombobulated mess by 7:30 Central Time. Then towards 9, it eventually becomes more of one big discombobulated line as it pushes up north into Canada, when it gets way weaker due to the lack of instability. So looking at current radar, you can see that we have all this early convection in Canada, where that is going to hinder the more northern severe threat. But I do see there is also some cells here that are in the extreme risk area, so I'll keep an eye on how it evolves, as I think that these are a bit earlier than expected, but it is still in a very unstable environment. Looking here at infrared satellite, we can get a good idea on where some of the bigger severe threat may be. So here, near where Environment Canada has put their extreme risk, there are storms already forming, which may take up all the energy and leave less for any of the actual severe storms to really work with. Down south here in the US, near Minot, there's this part of cloud cover where that may take up instability because it won't let the sun give energy to the surface, which won't allow any instability to build. Looking at the 2 p.m. mesoanalysis, where we can see instability, we can start to see a sector of high instability here in parts of North and South Dakota going up into Manitoba. This could be an area where we could see a greater severe risk form. We also have a good amount of instability forming here in parts of Montana and North Dakota. This could also help give a more enhanced severe risk. Now going over to the significant tornado parameter, you can just barely see in Manitoba, there's an area that is a 1 out of 10 on the significant tornado parameter index. So while this isn't high, that is still enough to support a strong tornado, but doesn't mean that it's super likely. So to give you an idea on how potent this environment will be, here I have up the RAP, which is currently showing the convective available potential energy at 5 p.m. Central Time. So here, normally it would take just around 1,000 joules per kilogram of CAPE to support severe weather, and 2,500-ish to start supporting significant severe weather. Here, this purple is CAPE values of 4,000 or higher. So that is way more than enough to support significant severe weather. Going over to the significant tornado parameter, this is usually on a scale of 1 to 10. Here the RAP showing more elevated values, where this orange is around a 3 out of 10. That is a way more elevated value than normal. Then if I were to request a sounding to get an idea of this environment, we have a large hodograph, which is essentially showing that there's a lot of spin for these storms to work with, which will help produce a tornado, as well as the skew T is you have a low spread, which lowers the chances of seeing the high elevated hail storms, but rather indicates you're most likely going to see more closer to the ground surface-based storms, which are more likely to produce a tornado. So that is it for this video. If you enjoyed, like, follow, subscribe, and comment any questions you have left.